My screen name is WTR, and I love to review figures. Do, do, do. Dum, dum, dum. Do, do, do. Dum, dum, dum. Hey everybody, watch this review here with a look at the Deluxe Build-n-Brawl Series 5 Finlay. For those of you not familiar with these figures, it's a 4-inch line, each of which comes with basically a build-a-figure piece, except for instead of building another figure, you're building some stage sets or something. In this case, it's the scaffolding to go around the ring, which is something that would be used in a ladder match, such as a Money in the Bank match. In fact, Razor Ramon comes with the ladder and briefcase. As you can see, the other characters in this wave are Elijah Burke, Chavo Guerrero, William Regal, JBL, and Razor Ramon, aka Scott Hall. As previously mentioned, Finlay comes with the scaffolding, and Razor Ramon with the briefcase and ladder. All the other figures just come with the generic pieces of the Titantron. By the way, I love the amount of detailing on the packaging, but you won't really see it. Each of the characters has like some individual shots of the figure over here. Then an individualized character face over here. Another black and white of the character over here. A really handsome man that Finlay is. And another shot of the figure over here. These figures generally retail for between $6 and $8. However, my Target had these on clearance, so I picked up for $3.28 each, which is a much more agreeable price point. Alright, so now let's get this out of the box and have a look. I'm actually pretty excited about this one. Confession. I'm more of a casual wrestling fan, and I haven't really bought a wrestling figure since the early 90s, so I'm not sure what people usually expect as far as quality goes for these things. However, I'm really impressed by this figure. In fact, I only really see two real issues with these figures. First off, they're a little bit hard to stand at times, but that's a problem with most figures. The second one is they really don't have any peg holes. So there's no peg holes at the feet, which you'll have on most figures, and none on the back, which makes them a little bit hard to pose for the more dramatic stuff. Now, in this little drawing here, you see him kicking out. I'm not sure how they did that. I assume they probably epoxied his foot to the ground or something, because, yeah. Unless they did some sort of a crazy balancing routine, but even then there's no way you could possibly get it to balance on one foot like that. So, that gets some marks off there. The thing I like about this series, though, and I'm really not sure if it's true about the others, is the fact that other than Finlay and Razor Ramon, they all come with interchangeable pieces. So let's say you can't find JBL in stores. Well, no problem. You can just buy an extra Chavo or an extra Elijah Burke, or let's say you don't know who the heck Elijah Burke is. Well, that's alright too, because you can just buy an extra Chavo or an extra William Regal. Or let's say you completely hate Chavo Guerrero. Once again, perfectly natural. You could just end up buying yourself an extra JBL. So, very nice touch. Now, something that bugs me about this figure is that the head doesn't seem to match the rest of the body for some reason. I'm not sure if it's because there's more detail on the head, and it's finer detail, or the head might be one size too big or too small, or it might even be just one paint shade of difference between the two, which I can pick up on, but not recognize. However, for some reason, it looks like they kind of took a celebrity's head, cut it out of a magazine, then pasted it onto another celebrity's body. Which, might just be the fact that you recycle the same sculpt and then just use a different head for each figure. And the detail on the actual head, especially the face, is pretty good. This is a fairly decent representation of Finlay. Now, something that bugs me about this figure is that the head doesn't seem to match the rest of the body for some reason. I'm not sure if it's because there's more detail on the head, and it's finer detail, or the head might be one size too big or too small. Or it might even be just one paint shade of difference between the two, which I can pick up on, but not recognize. However, for some reason, it looks like they kind of took a celebrity's head, cut it out of a magazine, then pasted it onto another celebrity's body. Which, might just be the fact that you recycle the same sculpt and then just use a different head for each figure. And the detail on the actual head, especially the face, is pretty good. This is a fairly decent representation of Finlay. That said, it's a pretty decent looking sculpt, although admittedly I'm not hugely fond of the torso area, but check out these arms right down to these tiny little veins. It's crazy. And we have individual detailing on the shoestrings. It's not just painted on. Gotta appreciate that. Paint-wise, very mixed bag, just because it looks plain, but part of that's because the costumes are kind of plain, and it's mostly flesh on these guys. In terms of articulation, we have a pin joint here at the wrist, a rotating forearm, a single pin joint at the elbow, a rotating bicep, but it will be impeded when too close to the body just because these are pretty massive biceps, a ball jointed shoulder with a pretty good range of motion. The head's on another ball joint. It will move a full 360 around in addition to forward and back a little bit. The ab/diaphragm joint moves a ridiculous amount forward and back, more than you'd ever need, more than even humanly possible in fact. Waist will go a full 360 around. Ball jointed leg, good range of motion. We have another point up here at the thigh, which will go a full 360 around. Then a single pin joint here at the knee, in addition to a fairly standard ankle joint, which will go a full 360 around and forward back. So yeah, another ball joint. Overall, this is a pretty decent figure, a very good likeness for the character it represents, with some pretty great articulation. I especially like the fact that we do have the extra point here at the thigh and really workable legs, as opposed to the Marvel Universe figures, which kind of been jimping us on the lower body here. In terms of scale, he stands a little over 3 3/4 inches tall. So I believe these figures will fit in with your other displays if you ever want a half-naked man in your displays. I mean, I don't judge. In Finlay's case, he maybe dresses like a traditional wrestler, but a lot of the other guys are basically just wearing Speedos, so I guess you could pretend that they're at the beach or something. Again, I don't judge. So yeah, I definitely think these figures are just all kinds of awesome, and I'll probably at least pick up the rest of this series, if not more from other series. I saw a Mark Henry in the mall the other week, which I'll probably also grab. But until next time, folks, remember, take your vitamins, say your prayers, and train, train, train.